we got some unfortunate news for the Minnesota Vikings and Mario over there. Yeah, he's got to get his sadness out of the way for this. The Vikings have released tight end Kyle Rudolph after 10 seasons with the team, and this is his first time ever in free agency. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting too. Let me give you a couple of stats from him from his time in Minnesota. In Minnesota, he's at 4,488 receiving yards, 48 touchdowns, and 2 Pro Bowl appearances. So that's really impressive for a tight end. And this move saves Minnesota $5.1 million in salary cap, so they are opening up there. And this was written by Courtney Cronin, who is an ESPN staff writer. So Mario, since this is your team, this is your guy, I'll let you go first. What do you think of Kyle Rudolph leaving the Vikings? Oh wait, I already know, but what everybody else know?
Yeah, I ain't too happy about it. Look, I gotta be honest with you, Nate. Okay, I gotta be honest. All right, I understand the move, I really do, but like somebody like Kyle Rudolph, man, it is gonna be a guy I'm gonna truly miss. It really is because Kyle Rudolph, for many, many years, he was like the heartbeat of Minnesota. You know, obviously there were guys that were on that team that ended up were like becoming stars, like Adrian Peterson. Then you go to obviously then Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen had their role, and then they ended up becoming stars of that team. And then Kirk Cousins came along, and then Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, so on and so forth, you know. But I mean, but Kyle Rudolph was definitely the heartbeat of that team, you know. And Kyle Rudolph, he is definitely one of my favorite players in the league. He's definitely top in that top five. And the reason why is because you look at Kyle Rudolph, man, a Notre Dame player. That's my favorite college team. So he rep my favorite college football team. Then he goes to the Minnesota Vikings, plays there for 10 years. And in those 10 years, not only did he do amazing jobs on the field, which I'm going to be honest, my favorite memory, besides the nice one-hand catches that Kyle Rudolph would make in the end zone, my favorite memory of Kyle Rudolph was either the Hail Mary against against Detroit or the game-winning touchdown that he had against New Orleans a couple years ago. So it had to be one of those two. But Kyle Rudolph gave us some memorable moments on the field. But off the field, let me tell you something. This man has to be one of the kindest athletes I think I've ever seen. This guy would go to children's hospitals in Minnesota, and he'd build like kids sections for the kids in Minnesota to play in, for the kids in the hospitals to play in, so they can forget about like whatever problems they were going through. And stuff like that is absolutely amazing. He did work. He did a lot of charity work in Minnesota with kids. He did a lot of charity work in the community. You know, he was an advocate when it came to this like Black Lives Matter movement. He did a lot of things in Minnesota for that. You know, and I mean, you're looking at a guy like Kyle Rudolph, and there isn't a lot of, and you really can't say bad things about him. You know, like you think of every teammate that he had, there's not one bad thing that they could say about him. He had loyalty to the team. Was his contract getting a little hefty? Yeah, but I think consistent wise, I think Kyle Rudolph was always there, you know. And hey, let me tell you something. It's going to be hard to fill that void. Before, when he was on the Vikings team, right? He was the longest tenured player on that team. Now that belongs to, I believe, Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith came in a year after Kyle Rudolph, which, by the way, they were both Notre Dame teammates too. And what I respect the most about Kyle Rudolph is this. He said in an Instagram post, he said, even though my time with Minnesota, I'm basically paraphrasing, even though his time with Minnesota is over, he's still going to be doing a lot of community work and a lot of charity work for Minnesota, you know, because he feels like he will always be a Minnesota native, a Minnesota resident. And for that, like, you know, I sincerely appreciate everything that Kyle Rudolph has done for the Vikings, not just on the field, but off the field. He's blessed me with a lot of memories. And this is different than like Diggs leaving. Obviously, Diggs, I was pretty sad about that too. But Kyle Rudolph, a guy who's been on that team for 10 years, it's kind of like how you felt when Greg Olsen left, you know? Like, it's not a good feeling to see that a veteran who has been there for 10 years, so he gave his heart and soul to this team and has, you know, done so much amazing things for this team. It's hard to see him leave. But I mean, you know, all great things must eventually come to an end. Now, getting my sadness out the way, places that I wish Kyle Rudolph the best of luck in wherever he goes, but I think some good places that he could go to is like Cincinnati Bengals over for a tight end. He would be a perfect match. He pairs up with Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. That's a good place. Bill Belichick has always had high praises for Kyle Rudolph. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots end up getting Kyle Rudolph. I hate to say it, but like the Bears could really use that tight end. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that to happen, okay? because I'll be damned if that dude goes to another NFC North team. That's going to be annoying. But I can definitely see the Bears grabbing him, But I'm going to be honest with you, Nate. It doesn't matter what team he goes to. In my eyes, he'll always be a Viking. And I think he'll always be known for being a Viking, unless he plays another 10 seasons with some other team, which is highly unlikely. But, I mean, with that being said, I just wish Kyle Rudolph the best of luck in his future, and I just want to say thank you to him for everything that he's done for us.
Right, I'll pick up from there. Good luck to Kyle Rudolph in the future and sync up with the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, with all of his charity work and everything he's done with Minnesota, dude, I have no idea how this dude has not won a Walter Payton Man of the Year. I gotta be honest with you, dude. He does a lot of, and he even said, no matter where he goes, he's gonna continue doing work for Minnesota. I mean, that just goes to
Right,
show how much he loves the city.
Right, and he's been nominated a few. He was nominated like I think a couple of years ago for like that. And he's won like I think it's called like the Walter Payton $25,000 or $10,000 challenge or 100. I can't remember what it's called, but he's won that challenge and like donating like a certain amount of money to his cause. So he's
Right,
done
right.
so, and he's always said it. He's always said it. He says obviously like having a Walter Payton award is nice, but he said that's not the reason why I do my work. I do this work
You do
in
his
the
work because
community
you
because
love
I
it.
actually care
Yeah,
about my community,
yeah,
and that's the best
right.
thing you could hear out of an athlete.
Absolutely, yeah. I absolutely agree with that. I've said it before on the show, but I'll say it again. One thing I learned in coaching class as a player, as a coach, or whatever, is the biggest thing you gotta do once you get to the pros, you gotta give back to your community. Because if it wasn't for your community, you wouldn't be where you are today. That's how I paraphrase it, and it's so true. And the fact that he's willing to give back to the Minnesota community and still even do it even after them releasing him, that just goes to show you how much of a great man he is, how much he cares about the kids. Some kids don't get to do what we get to do. Some kids don't get to sit up here on camera and talk about sports and yell at other teams because they're being trash or being stupid or whatever. We get to do that, but other kids don't. Other kids don't get to go to college and play sports or even get to the pros and play sports. We have those chances, but they don't. You know what I mean? So for him to acknowledge, for Kyle Rudolph to acknowledge that, not every kid has opportunities like, people like you and me do, and other people around the world, knowing that they don't have those kind of opportunities because of, whether it be health issues or just anything in general, the fact that he's giving back to them and realizing that they matter too, it's absolutely heartwarming, and I wish there was more people in the world like him. So, with that being said, I really do appreciate everything Kyle Rudolph has done for the community and for the NFL. And wherever he goes, I do wish him the best of luck and keep doing your thing, brother.